Hello, hello, welcome to You Are the Question, the show. And I am Cory, Edmund, Endrulat. We are here to teach about natural law. Here I am. I want to first say thank you to the One Great Work Network. Thank you for following already. I just started up. What's going on? But yeah, we're live on Twitch. And that is what we're doing here at twitch.tv/coconuttv, as you can see on the bottom of the screen here. And thank you, Reptile, for following. So great stuff that we have planned here. I actually will always have guests on for this show. So this show is going to be a very interactive show, a more of like a talk show, if you will, if you want to see it as such. And so I mentioned the One Great Work Network, right? Welcome to the One Great Work Network. If you're listening from onegreatworknetwork.com or on the Twitch for the One Great Work Network. What is the One Great Work Network? Well, we are a collective of individuals who are content creators and teachers alike, seeking to open the minds of people and help bring to awareness universal concepts such as the natural law. And that is exactly what we're here to talk about on this show. And what is this show, right? So it's called You Are the Question. Therefore, I am also the question. We, by our actions that are to be at question, help determine the world we live in. So by questioning ourselves, our condition, our actions, we question how we can help make the world a better place together. This is a show where we can seek answers present for us all by nature. The world depends on you. Where you stand, you are the question. The objective of the show is to teach others one-on-one natural law directly and practically, utilizing coaching techniques such as questions, recitation, and helping guests come to their own conclusions. It becomes a hands-on learning experience for everyone, so that folks may even help teach others this knowledge. Each show is about 1 hour, and each guest is limited to about 3 shows. Some ways of teaching this knowledge of natural law is more in-depth. However, as different guests are introduced, new ways of teaching will come with it. The difference is often dependent on where an individual currently stands with their learning. So this is live, like I said, on Twitch, Coconut TV. Live comments will be read and may or may not be discussed. We will be exploring many different ideas, and through our understanding of those different ideas, our knowledge of natural law becomes more defined and thorough, therefore understood. So, just a quick disclaimer, I do not expect people or any one guest to know the full nature thereof statism by the end of each show. So, I am your host, Cory Edmund Endrulat, and I am here with my guest today. I am proud to introduce my sister, Crystal Endrulat. You can say hi, Crystal.
Hi everyone.
Yeah, so she's actually got her own Twitch at twitch.tv/KrystalsLife. That's Crystal with a K.
Woo.
Yeah, so if you want to introduce yourself, we're just here to create a conversation around these ideas. I figured, why not start with my sister, right? If we're going to talk about natural law and teach this topic, which a lot of people in the modern day may not understand or may not never even heard of the term. I figured, why not start with my sister, right? And she might have some basis, being that obviously, she knows who I am and she knows that I talk about this a lot and I produce content based on it. But we're going to get more into depth about natural law and see where perhaps she stands on the topic and so forth. So if you want to just introduce yourself.
Sure. Well, Cory kind of said it. I am Cory's sister. My name is Crystal. I am a live streamer. Hi, here on Twitch, and it's a really great platform to kind of to really involve your community, really get everyone involved, and really get perspectives of people around the world. That's what's really unique about Twitch, is that you do get to meet so many people from around the world, and it being live too just makes it that much more interesting because you're able to network and collaborate, and chat with people who have many different opinions and perspectives on things in the world. So I think this
Oh,
is
yeah.
an awesome platform to reach out to people, but not only that, but to communicate with your community. Other than that, Cory and I are both integrative nutrition health coaches. We both
Hey,
graduated from the
thanks for
same
the plug.
school.
I appreciate
Um,
it.
we both graduated from the same school. Cory has motivated me and inspired me to the person I am now, which is insane because he's the younger one in the family. Um, but Cory's doing amazing work, and he has inspired me to not only change my lifestyle, my diet, and everything in life, but kind of just perspective on things of life. I'm more open minded. I am more mindful about things. I always question everything and base because of that is because of Cory. And I hope that all of you learned something here today and really just have an open heart, an open mind. A lot of things you may agree with, a lot of things you may disagree with, but that's the best thing about having your own opinion and being human is that we
Sure.
all deserve to have that voice to be spoken.
Sure, and
So,
and I think that's the great part about having many different guests on this show, right? Because I plan on having so many different guests.
yeah.
It's the fact that everybody's going to have a different way of learning, and we're not going to use the same strategy here in the show of teaching each show. So look forward to different ways of learning the knowledge at hand that we all can actually grasp, and we're going to show that through our questions, through the different ways of teaching. So let's get started.
Yay.
Um,
Let's do it.
what are your thoughts, Crystal, on the current world? And are you happy with it?
I am very happy with the world that we live in. I feel like we live in a era where we are given a lot of conveniences, but I also think conveniences can be manipulated in the wrong way. But I think we live in such a beautiful world. I think the universe is a very magical thing, and I think everything's connected. Whether you think one way or another, I think that us living and thriving the way that the natural way of what we were supposed to be like in our ancestries and stuff like that is, I think we kind of lost that in a way now because we're all into conveniences that I feel like back then we were more grounded, we were more home, we were like more involved with the home environment, we were more homeopathic, we were more natural medicine, we were more about farming and all that, getting our hands dirty in the soil, where now everything is so sterile and everything is kind of just like very pristine, and I feel like I'm going off the rails. I'm sorry.
No,
My mind,
that's
the way
great.
that the way that my mind goes is all over the place, so excuse me. But no, the world is beautiful. I 100% think that we are in the right direction for certain people, but I also feel like there is a better uh, way that people can be going, because I feel like a lot of people are now awakening to what is happening in the world, and that's a great sign because there are a lot of things that are happening behind closed doors that not a lot of people are willing to learn and educate themselves about. And so I think it's very important to just have an open
Hmm.
mind and question everything. So
So there's things that we may not know, or so in that
What
regards,
in hell
is
is happening?
certain things being like hidden from us, perhaps, or is it just not? Are we not able to grasp those hidden things?
Um, I think both. I think that people who are more awakened and have actually experienced a few things in life may understand complex, I guess, conspiracy theories, I guess you want to say, a little bit better. But also, I think behind closed doors, there's a lot of secrets, a lot of like a lot of corruption, a lot of things that are manipulating the human race nowadays. And there's so many people who are um, what's the word that you conform. There's a lot of people that conform to the bigger voice in the room, the people who they think they can trust,
Okay,
the higher ups, as you can say. But
right.
that may not be the safest, best option, and so that's why it's always nice to find other alternatives to listen to and really really go back to where you think and what our ancestries always were at. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, it's good that you answer the question as honest as you can be. I mean, that's what I expect of the guests that enter the show. Is that way we have those unique perspectives, like I mentioned. Um,
Yeah.
so you said like we sort of have that connection, right, with nature in a way, right, with what is natural. So you're
Yeah.
saying instead though people are conforming to a large voice.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that large
yeah.
voice is government because I think a lot of people think that government gives them everything.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, but not only just government. I mean, I think that we're such a manipulative species that if we see something like a celebrity doing something, we think that's so cool and we're going to follow into that footsteps, whether it be someone that they follow, like a public figure, like a political figure. I'm not going to say names, but then if you follow that celebrity that follows that political or that bigger figure, oh hey, they're really cool, they're rich and powerful, I want to be like that, I'm going to follow in their footsteps. So I feel like if you're following the right people, I think that's great, but also if you're following the wrong people, it's also going to send you into the wrong direction. So I feel like it's all about who you're listening to, what their ideas are,
Hmm.
and stuff like
So
that.
what you surround yourself by. So maybe in a way you're saying if you're surrounded by a lot of conformed voices, you're more likely to conform, or
Yeah, in a way,
you're
yeah.
okay. Yeah, so these are a lot of different ideas that we can sort of dissect one by one because we're going to go a little bit more in depth with these shows with my sister. And I say shows because we're going to do multiple shows here. I figured why not, the
God
first
bless.
show, why not have the first show, be a bit more in depth for people and something that really like sparks it off. And not only that,
Yeah.
you're a streamer yourself, right? So you're used to doing recordings like this, and you're also very entertaining. You got a good
Oh,
personality, so.
thank
Okay,
you.
but
I normally don't talk about natural law in my stream, but I do have a couple people who do come on and ask me about my opinions on like the food
hmm,
industry because I do I'm an advocate for healthy foods, and people know that I eat very clean, and so they're always asking me like, "Hey, Crystal, what are your thoughts about GMOs and all this, and the food industries and the government?" So I touch
hmm.
upon that, but I like how Cory here right now is going more into depth because I don't go into depth in my stream. It's a bunch of variety here and
Well,
content
what
to
do you
grab from.
think natural law can help us do then? Like when it comes to conversations or topics like that, what do you think it provides for us as for its use?
Well, for one, I know, and I hate to say this,
Now,
but I
I don't expect you to know what it is yet, right?
right.
So,
Exactly. Well, I was going to say that is like I am not fully confident to be answering what is natural law, and like I understand the grasp and the underlining meaning, but I want to educate myself, and that's why we're doing this, right? Is to educate
right.
myself and others about natural law, and
Yeah.
so I'm kind of on that train on learning about it.
Hmm.
So I know like baby talk of natural law. I know like the baby talk.
The
And
fact that
that,
you're willing to sit here and, think about it is already a
yeah,
big step. Because
yeah,
a lot of people right off the bat may say, "Oh, I don't have time," or "This is unimportant." But what if it actually is? Is the question: Have
100%.
you seen the value in it? Have you applied it to your life? Because we were never taught perhaps some subjects such as this.
Hmm. Yeah.
So only once we understand what it is can we understand how we can apply it to our life.
Well, it's
Um,
crazy that when you find people that have the same, I call it the same frequency, the same vibration, right? They are always they have like the same aura as you. If you're a big like yogi person, you
right.
understand that. They have like the same perspective, they have the same open mind. And so that's when you know like you guys are clicking. And so when you find someone like that, you guys just go off. And so that's why I think this whole community that you guys are doing, I think is beautiful
Right.
because this message that we're going to be conveying to the public needs to be more
Hmm.
um, known.
Perhaps that's why it's called the one great work, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So I
right.
want to get into it.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
So the next question I would have for you, right? Because I mean, I'm not gonna go here and just lecture to you like,
That's
what is
okay.
this, what is that. Well, some people might like that approach, but I'm gonna go more based upon like what you do. Going based on where you currently are, because this
Okay.
is me as a teacher, as a coach, looking at you as a fellow person, and it's like, okay, well, if you can understand the same knowledge that I can, we both are able to. So,
Sure.
so maybe I have some knowledge that you don't, and you have some knowledge that I don't. We just help guide each other toward that direction, and we kind of find it for ourselves. And so that's sort of the methodology I use here, and that's kind of what I make in the disclaimers. So, could the world be better, and how can it be?
I think there is obviously the good is always going to overrule the bad. At the end of the day, those who are good in the world will always shine brighter than the darker, demonic, very sad people in the world
Mm,
because we're the true beings and we're the ones who are meant to be on this earth because we are the ones that are supposed to be spreading the love, spreading the kindness, spreading the light, spreading the sunshine into people's lives. And so, um,
okay.
I think that yes, we have leaned away from that because I feel like because we are such a manipulative species and we're so ready to conform to anything that panics you, we are ready to jump on to the easiest way to help us. But if you open your eyes and you start educating yourself about what is really happening behind the scenes, then you start to really realize, oh wow, okay, wait, there's more than just what's happening. There's in depth and there's things to be questioning. And that's why I always say question everything.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Um,
But what was the second part of your
the
question?
second question was, how can it be better? So, yeah.
People, like I said, just having an open mind and stop being so triggered. If you believe in one thing and another person is believing in one thing, I feel like, and I hate saying it, our world is so divided. Blue versus red, black versus white. You know what I mean? And it's gender versus gender, and it's just, it's very, it's it's very divided, because if you believe in something and your other person that you're talking to believes in something else, if you talk about that one thing, it can trigger something, and then that can end a friendship, that can end a major thing. And it's just sad because, like, especially what's going on around the world with coronavirus and everything going on with the election. I mean, you just see, if someone does not wear a mask and you are a believer that masks do not work, and you see someone telling and coming up to you saying, "Why aren't you wearing your mask?" That is literally, like, we have come to that point in our society that people are literally coming up to you because you are not wearing something that you have the right to wear on your body or not. So it's more, it's just, it's very divided in that perspective. But I also think that if people just relax and calm down and stop watching certain things that are out there in the world that are kind of indoctrinating you, or I don't know, that's the wrong word to say, but also kind of making you conform into, I guess, the negative entities. I don't know. It's really hard to say,
Hmm.
because we're such we're a species that if we see something, we go for it, right? And
Hmm.
so I don't know.
Right. So like we tend to pull ourselves towards certain extremes, but at the
Yeah.
same time, we do want to find some sort of grounding in something we know to be right. So that's like the problem, right? Maybe is like everybody's sort of scrambled around trying to find what is right, and that's what's causing some of the confusion, but also what causes some people to think they're always right, and they have the solution to everything, and right
Yeah.
is you see what I'm getting at with that?
No, absolutely.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, you see the power of question. Why do you think question is important? Because we'll get to that later. Why do you think question? What
Oh,
do you
you're
think it
asking me.
does?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Why do I think questioning is important? Is because there, I feel like um, there's never really a true answer to anything. Like, the best example for me is like, and I'm gonna be so, like, this is like probably the worst example, but like, we are living on a planet which we don't know if it's the way that we were taught in school or another way, right? And so questioning that, because it just gives you opportunity, it gives you inspiration, it gives you like, oh my goodness, what if? And also it can give you hope, and it can also kind of just offspring to different perspectives. I know I keep
Hmm.
saying the same words over
Okay. So,
again,
like,
but
thinking
it,
differently
yeah, think
for
differently,
achieving
always
differently.
achieving differently, correct.
So, like, there's a common phrase: keep doing what you keep doing, and keep getting what you keep getting.
Hmm.
Right. So, do you agree with that phrase?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So what imbalances like do you see then in the world? Because you sort of like mentioned, right, like there is this negativeness, and then you were saying that there's a lot of people conforming. So where do you see the imbalances? What imbalances in particular could you like point out if you can?
Um, Imbalances would be people who are just willing to conform because they think it's the easy way out, and they don't have any other options because they're not willing to seek out other options.
Hmm. Not
Example,
willing.
I'm sorry?
Not willing.
Right. Example, am I allowed to say vaccines? Well, I don't want to say vaccines in general,
Speak your
but I
mind.
want to, I'm sorry?
Speak your mind. It's fine.
So I want to say the coronavirus vaccine. The fact that people are willing to jump on something that originally should be taking 10 years to make, but we made it in 9 months. They don't take into consideration the ingredients that are made. They don't take into the consideration that there could be a deeper meaning behind taking the vaccines. And so I don't want to like put that on one thing,
Okay.
but um,
No, you have a point. You have
I
a point.
help me out.
So, like on the sense of imbalance, perhaps if everybody is told to get the vaccine, it becomes a mandatory thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant.
Now
That's that.
everybody is doing it.
Yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah.
that goes along with
That
the conformity?
Exactly. And I didn't mean to go into the vaccine
Mm-hmm.
thing. I just meant like everyone is kind of just going to jump on it because
Right.
they're so scared because of what everything was put onto the coronavirus, that they are going to jump onto that automatically without even second guessing. You know what I mean? Even though
Right.
the whole entire thing originally has been very questionable, they're still going to jump on it. I'm not saying everyone, I'm just saying, you know.
Right. So that's sort of how people react, right? Is
Yeah.
sort of what's coming to them and they react. So more of like it depends on how we react to things, and that's how the world is going to manifest in a way.
It's yeah, but I feel like today I'm meeting more and more people, but I don't know if it's just because I just find these people. That's how the universe works. I find that I am involving myself with more people who are more willing to educate themselves and be more open-minded about the things happening in the world. But those who don't, they completely shut you out because they think that you're a quack, and they completely like they don't. I mean, I haven't gone to the point where people unfriended me, but I have definitely seen a sense of just like, okay, your belief systems, your way of thinking, you're insane. How dare you think that the government's trying to kill us? How dare you think that currency is the root of evil? How dare you think that, the higher ups and the elites and everyone up there is going to control you and has an agenda, has a narrative? How dare you think that? No. Wake up to reality, Crystal. Okay, thank you. I think I'm the one living reality, but you're in a simulation of just, living in a perfect, but also you think that everything can be given to you. But
Okay.
freedom's not free, sweetheart. I'm sorry. So I think you need to work for that. I mean, get back to your ancestry roots, get back to farming, get back to learning how the body like your body knows how to heal itself for itself. Learn how to do that instead of going always to something that can give you side effects, give you something that may not benefit your body at the end of the day.
Okay, yeah, really good points there. And see, like that's great. I like the fact you're speaking your mind here, and seriously, don't worry about that. So in a way you're sort of talking about like the uniqueness of a human being and the fact that every one of us has unique thoughts of our own. And in a way are you saying we should in a way cherish that, not put it down, but look up to our unique beliefs and not so much
Yeah.
battle with ourselves with
Don't
what the
believe just
world is
one
telling
thing.
us to do.
Right.
Okay.
Don't believe just one thing. I mean, I keep saying open mind, open mindedness,
Right.
question everything.
Well,
Da, da,
that's a
da.
good for where we're going to start. So, if you'd like, you want to get started here with
Oh,
one of the
we're
first
starting
topics.
now. Okay, 24
Well,
minutes into the stream. We're starting now. We love
no, that's the
this.
perfect starting ground. So,
I love it. Great.
I
Okay.
have a slide there for natural
Mhm.
law. It's just an intro slide. But one of the first topics that we're going to get into is teachability. So, my first question for you would be, what puts someone in a good position to learn?
Can I keep saying the same thing? Open
Well,
mindedness. No.
okay. That's
Well,
okay. You see, some questions may sound redundant or even like really simple, but it's important for like a grounding basis and reminding ourselves of those basic things, right? Like if I forget some of the basic human qualities that are essential to our living, such as love and, food and happiness, I might underestimate that. I might walk upon that on a daily basis. Am I really seeing the value that it is? And therefore, I could lose it all the next day and, feel hurt because I didn't cherish it in the moment. I didn't take it in that present moment, right? So don't feel ever bad about having to repeat yourself. I'm sure there are
yeah,
folks who, may still have to wrap around their brain the open mindedness part because to all some extent maybe we have an open mind and we also close our mind to certain things.
of
All of
course.
us do, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I know I close my mind to certain things, but I also keep in mind that this person has a right to tell their story, whether I agree or disagree with it, It's
Mm-hmm.
the freedom of speech.
Okay. Right. So, man, it's funny that intro, I think you kind of covered a lot about teachability right off the bat. Well, because my next question after that was, should someone accept everything? And being that you have like that stance of uniqueness, I'm assuming your answer would be not always. You should follow your intuition. You said listen to your
Follow
body.
follow your heart, follow your gut, because we learn in medicine, right? That all sorts of disease, illness starts in the gut. And so you know how powerful the gut is.
Mm.
And so following that, even when it comes to intuition,
Mm.
it could be powerful.
Okay.
Do I believe that? Yes, believe in everything and everything. Yes, but also I think just have some common sense. Common sense. Whatever the lot you tell me this all the time, Cory, and I sorry if I butcher this, but believe what your eyes see. Is that what you say? What do you say?
Well, do my eyes deceive me?
Does your eyes deceive you? If you see something versus someone else, you know, it's very interesting. But I just say follow
What
your heart,
in
follow your
hell
conscience,
is
follow your
happening?
gut, follow your intuition. Believe in what you believe, um, and just don't let anyone dull your sparkle. That's what I love, because you just don't want anyone to be like banishing you for your beliefs, and that's not cool. And you don't deserve that toxicity in your life. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so should someone be skeptical of everything? So, we covered more of the question, should someone accept everything? Well, what about the other end of that? So, should someone be skeptical of everything?
I mean, isn't that questioning everything?
Well, what does that sound like to you when I say
What
skeptical of
skeptical
everything?
means is like you're on the offense, right? You're kind of just like, well, but let me battle you on this. Let me debate you, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
I
Skepticism.
say
Yeah.
I say if that person's are you asking if I'm being skeptical or the person I'm talking?
Well, we're talking about like in general. Should someone be skeptical of everything they see in a daily life? So when they come across
Oh,
something, are they overly questioning and analyzing something? Is that a good thing to do?
I think you can get paranoid that way, and I think you can eventually start to kind of go a little stir crazy and then
Mm,
start to get very panicked, and then you're going to just relapse. You know what I mean? Then you're going to start going into this full circle, and it's not going to be healthy or good mentally. It's not going to be mentally happy for you at the end of the day. So, yeah.
okay, so now if we were to tie in like the last point in sort of what we were just talking about with skepticism, right? So should someone accept everything and should someone be skeptical of everything? Can we then find a balance between the two, right? Because as you said, right, we don't want to be too open to everything. We want to question the world, but at the same time, we don't want to get lost and too confused and too much into the details. So is there a balance?
I think balance is key to everything. You don't want too
Okay.
much of one thing, you
To
don't want too
everything.
much of one thing. You know,
To everything.
finding synchronicity, finding balance, finding um it evaporated from my brain, but balance, yes.
Yeah.
I think balance is obviously the best answer. You know, if you can try to find something that makes you both question but also agree on something at the same time, is going to make you both mentally, physically, everything is a full circle, balance, happy place.
Okay, so would you say this diagram accurately depicts what we were talking about when it comes to skepticism and being open to new information?
Let me actually make it bigger on my end. I'm sorry.
Sure.
There we go.
Yeah, so on the left
Oh
hand
yes.
side, yeah, the left hand
Oh,
side says arrogance, and on the right hand side it says naive.
naive.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, arrogant means, right, that you refuse to accept anything, and naive would mean you accept everything. So, do you sort of agree with this graph? Do you think there needs to be any changes?
No, I agree, because you don't want to be either or. You want to be in the middle because you want to question everything, but you also want to have affirmative, very strong opinion on certain things, but also have room for improvement, but
Mm,
also room for just um, like allowing what you believe to be put out there,
I
but
see.
also agreeing and allowing yourself to agree with your own opinion as well,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Right, so like for that part it's more like intuition.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say
So
so.
yeah, we'll actually go over intuition too, because that seems like an important topic then, right?
Okay.
Because we're talking
Yeah.
about intuition. Um, so that's like learning from the self, would you say? Right,
Yeah.
intuition. Okay.
Learning from itself. Yeah.
So then, if we keep looking at these polarities, right, like open mindedness, closed mindedness, what's the opposite of intuition? Like, so if we're not learning from ourselves, what is the other form?
So if you're not learning from your intuition, you are learning from. I didn't know there was gonna be a pop quiz today. I'm joking, Cory. If you're not learning from your intuition, I think you're just learning from other energies. I really don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry. I'm not really.
Okay.
Nothing's really coming to mind.
So how about I'll rephrase the question. That's okay.
Okay.
And it's
Baby talk.
okay. Yeah, no, it's okay. So you're fine. So you've already come up with so many great answers. So let's say we're learning from ourselves, our own intuition.
Mm-hmm.
What if we were to not learn from ourselves? Where else would we learn?
Um, Other people, other influences.
Okay, there you go. Right. So
Ah.
right. So maybe so what would that be, right? If we're learning from other influences.
It depends who you're following. I mean,
Mm,
I know as a streamer slash uh, person who just likes to follow celebrities, whether they're the highest well-known celebrity, but down to the most humble people who deserve just as much power as those corrupt celebrities. Um, I know that whatever that these people are doing in the higher ranks, right, are not always the best option because they're putting out things and
things.
uh uh um what's the word? They're putting out subliminal messages, I guess you can say, in
Okay.
music, in music videos, in their products, and anything that they're trying to enforce.
Hmm.
I guess somewhat subliminal in a certain aspect,
Okay.
right? Versus the average Joe who is trying to change the world, like you, Cory, who should be well known. But did I call you the average Joe? I'm sorry, you're
No,
not
no,
the
not
average
that
Joe.
far. You're fine.
um, but I think just being influenced by the right people that you believe are doing right in the world is what you
Hmm.
should be following. But I'm guilty to be following all aspects of people because I find entertainment in certain people, you know what I mean? And I just like to know what's going on in all aspects, whether they are doing good or when I know that they're I know what they're trying to do subliminally. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
Is
it's just
there a
to
reason you follow celebrities? I mean, do you see any value in doing that?
um
Is there something it provides for you by doing
entertainment.
so? Entertainment. Okay.
Entertainment. I like to see their clothing. I'm a girl. I like to see fashion and makeup. I like to
Right.
see what products they're coming out with. Sure, are they making a bankload? And I think it's just like it's insane how much money they're making over because of just who they are. I
Hmm.
think it's crazy, but
Okay.
um,
So
I don't feed into it. I don't buy any products from these people. I just like to see it, and I know. I'm sorry.
no, no, there's nothing wrong with that. Do you? So should people consider, what other people they follow or what they are intaking?
Yeah. Yes
Yeah.
and no. I
So
think you had like
yeah.
I think you have the freedom to follow whoever you want, but also just have an open mind of what these people are saying. You know,
So
I
you
know
think
that.
they have the freedom?
Do I think that we have the freedom?
Yeah. Or do you know that they have the freedom to think what they want?
Well, I know that people who are in our movement, or in your movement, Cory, get taken down because they are censored for what they believe in, and that's when you know when
Mm-hmm.
that social platform is corrupt and they only believe in one ideology. And so
Mm.
when that happens, then it's like, wow, this is sad. This is where our world has come to. When you see all these platforms taking down certain things because, because it followed this person, or, oh, it doesn't believe this ideology. You know what I mean? It's so sad to see beautiful humans who are trying to do their best in the world and trying to like literally put out their work, and then they get censored for it and they get taken down. Um, am I allowed to
Interesting.
say names? But like, it's
Go ahead.
just
Yeah.
it's sad to see that people work so hard for what they do and then they get taken down because it's the truth, and the
Mm.
truth hurts, yes, but also the truth sometimes does not get released into the world because
Okay.
the the corrupted platforms
Okay. So people are
allow them
learning
to do that.
from those people, right? Those people who are getting censored or those celebrities, anybody. They're learning from other people. And those that is like their their source, right, of knowledge, may you say, or information.
Well, I don't want to say that everyone gets their knowledge from social media. I hope
Right.
that people are not getting their knowledge from social media. But if it came out that way, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way.
Okay.
Um, I mean just find the right sources, maybe not feed into mass media. Uh, Go and independent or sources that that are more humble, more things that involve more voices, not just one-sided voices, a bunch of collective ideas together, things that are not as sus or as
Hmm.
suspicious.
So then, so you would agree with like the fact that we should probably take great consideration and care for our sources of information or where we're receiving our information from.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like how you source your food, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that you're getting the highest quality. You wouldn't pick a rotten apple versus a ripened apple. So, I mean, you want to pick your sources wisely, but also you have to consider that is this ripened apple like penetrated with chemicals that's going to taint my body with bad things that's going to affect my health, or is it going to flourish my health because I know it's from a good source, I know it's coming from a good thing. So,
Right. Okay, that's a good example, right? It's like if something's poison or something's not, I want to choose the better option, and I need to know how. How do I know what's the better option?
correct. Do your research.
Oh, do my research, right? So that requires intake of information, other knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like we
Having
can
an open
talk
mind,
intake with food, but we could also talk intake with knowledge.
of
What
course.
right? So what source of information would be reliable then?
um I think people who are more humble, more involved in their community, more involved into the home life, more awoken about what's happening, more people who do their research about behind the scenes of things, uh, and just overall that whole entire idea.
Okay. Um, but what source? So like where are they getting their information like from? Like is there a reliable source? Like one that we can always say, yes, this is where we should get our information from. This is where we should get our knowledge from. Because it's always reliable or always somewhat reliable, something that will always teach people, right? Because we're talking about teaching.
Yeah. I mean, you want me to throw out names?
Does
So
it
I guess
have to be
like,
names?
well,
Because
I mean,
You said it doesn't have to come from people. You would hope it doesn't come from people.
no, I mean, but what comes to mind when you ask me that question is like what website to go to.
Hmm. Does it have to be a website? Because the websites are
No,
made by people.
right? It doesn't need to be a website.
Right. So, because it's funny, you mentioned like 5 minutes ago, right? Like, I would hope you don't take it from other people. Knowledge doesn't just come from other people, does it?
No, it learns from self experience too.
Okay. Right. So, perhaps it's the world that we live in, all the aspects, you
Yeah.
know? Okay. So, you know, perhaps nature would be a good source of our knowledge, right? Because it's universal. It's something
Yeah.
that we can all understand, right?
Well,
Like you mentioned freedom.
I was gonna lead into that. I just didn't know if you wanted something that was more, I guess, digital for the average person to kind of just like, oh, log into and find information. But
Hmm.
no, I think nature is it's something that people should always be connected to at the end of the
Okay.
day.
Well, it's only because you said that yourself, right? You said there's people who will conform
Mm-hmm.
to, what a lot of people are doing, and then there's that natural perspective. So, that natural perspective, natural comes of nature. So, nature is not a person. Can any person represent nature? Can any person be nature?
No, no, because nature is its own thing. But also, if someone is so influenced by that and they want to represent nature, I say, why not? Just go for it. I mean, you can be an advocate for anything that you believe in. But at the end of the day, I believe nature is going to be the answer because It's what we need to live and thrive in the world. It's literally the source of everything. It's the source to make us live, because we need nature to eat, we need nature to breathe, we need nature to survive.
Hmm.
And being spiritually connected to nature too, the healing of that between mental and physical and spiritual healing is just very empowering and very unique.
Okay.
So, yes, you can get your information online. Yes, you can get your information through sources and stuff like this, but I think that nature and really going down to what you think is going to ultimately help you at the end of the day is going to be probably your best option.
Okay. Well, because you mentioned, right, like freedom, which is an aspect that, I mean, can any human ever give you that? Or is that an aspect of nature that you're sort of born with?
I think people think that if you live in a free country that it's just given to you, but like I said, freedom's not free, because at the end of the day you are paying for what you believe in, right? But then again, what you believe in is also free, because you are a free person in your own knowledge, in your own way, in your own entity.
Hmm.
Um,
So now we're going based upon what is belief and what is, right, what you said is truth. So
yeah,
there is a difference that we're acknowledging.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, no, that's a good segue into like the next point. So what do you
Okay.
think takes control of people's mind?
Ooh,
So right, what
advertise.
what pushes that them into those conformities that you were mentioning, right?
Well, I think sex sells the best. I think everything nowadays is sex, sex, sex. I'm sorry, I'm bringing that out there, but it's totally true. You see that the highest, literally the most viewed music videos, and I'm sorry I keep going back to this, but like I honestly think it's, in my head it's the best example. But like, people who put in the, the most sexualized content gets the most views. People who put in the most raunchiest content gets the most views. Where people who are more wholesome and more innocent, that's boring. I'm not going to watch that,
Okay.
and so it's sad, because we're as a person, like as a girl, and as like a person who has seen both ends of the spectrum, be like growing up and just seeing how the music industry has always been very, out
Okay.
there, because everything, the way that you do it sells. But when
Hmm.
it comes to putting influences out there, subliminally, like colors and symbols and products that are going to may not be very transparent. I think transparency, first of all, is very important. I think,
Okay.
if it's something that you believe in and you're consuming and it's not transparent, question that. Um, but what was the question?
So what takes control of people's mind, right? So you
Yeah.
mentioned music, right? The other
Well,
one was sex.
inf-
Now,
in-
mm-hmm.
influences, I think, of
Okay.
course, is the biggest thing, because in advertisements,
Good and bad, or
good and bad, what?
influences. Does it matter if they're good or bad? Can they both take control of people's mind?
I think they both take control.
Okay. Okay. Good point.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Go ahead.
why is that? What makes those things influential? Now, if you have to use like a certain example, like you could use music, or if you want, you can use sex. Like, what makes it influential?
I don't know. I think people just appeal to. Um, I just think, honestly, people are just naturally attracted to
Hmm.
certain things.
So it's
But
a
it also
chemistry
depends on.
thing.
But also depends on that person. Like me personally, I'm attracted to anything pink, sparkly, and coffee and birds, right? So,
Hmm.
but also, I'm also interested into the music that's trending, but also the trending music or the trending influencer, the trending anything is going to possibly, high chance. I mean, of course, it's not always this, but it's always sometimes has a subliminal message of something darker than what it really means. And like Super Bowls, I guess, is another example. I mean, there's a lot of like predictive programming too. I know this is getting way off track, but predictive programming and just like um, subliminal messages are all over the place, and I think it's very unique once you research them, what they really mean and what it actually is kind of like transforming into the world, and how they're manifesting that is very interesting. But I don't want to like segue into something further than that, but I thought that was very interesting too.
So they're appealing to human characteristics that seem to be very natural, right? It may you say like so because you say like they naturally have those feelings toward music, for example, right?
Yeah, I think
So
because everyone finds serenity when they listen to music, right? They find their happy place when they listen to music.
okay,
But then, yeah,
so it's sort of appealing to our nature, and that's what makes it effective.
yeah,
Okay, so yeah, so these things can limit our human thought, right? If it's controlling our minds, is it going to limit our thought and perhaps confine it to certain ways of thinking? Like if I were to listen to only certain types of music,
hmm,
that's another thing too. If I have certain influences and so much of one or several influences, do I start to get confined to certain ways of thinking?
oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I feel like I very stereotypic, like I think I said that very stereotypically the way that I put it out there, because not everyone listens to today's music. There are people out there who love to listen to a variety of music. I'm just giving like the biggest example and what like the most common person may do. And I apologize if I like, triggered or if I stereotyped someone into that category. I really
Hmm.
did not mean it like that. Um, but I just think there are influences everywhere, whether they're good or bad. Um, just follow what your intuition, your gut always tells you, and whether you think that you are, uh, I mean, of course, enjoy what you're listening to, enjoy what you believe in, enjoy and have fun. Because I mean, you don't always want to be so
Hmm.
paranoid about everything. You
So
know
you
what I mean?
seem you seem a little conflicted, right? So you're saying
Yeah.
like, so no, that's okay. That's perfectly fine. So we have like this instinct, and we draw ourselves towards certain things, but at the same time, you're having some doubts. Where are those doubts? Why are you having some like questions about these tendencies? Are you questioning if it's actually good for them or not? What?
I like seeing little girls twerking and dancing to very sexualized songs when they are like literally 12.
Hmm.
And so that's like, I feel like that's what I see now, is because it's this one app that, has completely, I mean, there's been a couple of apps over the years, but I feel like this one app that's very common now um, is allowing this to happen. And I just feel like it's not bringing up our children the right way, in the most humble way. I feel like it's making them do things that, if you look back then 50 years ago, your grandmother would spank you.
Hmm.
Their grandmother would take the wooden spoon to you. You know what I mean? But in a very loving way, of course. But I
So is
just,
this called manipulation, or of like using kids for this way, or causing people's minds to think a certain way? Do you think there are people who want to manipulate others? Is
I
it
think,
good to confine our minds to certain ways of thinking?
I mean, I think there's a higher entity out there, obviously trying to control, and has a higher narrative, and has an agenda, right? And has a way of kind of corrupting our mindset, I guess you can say. But also, I say that you are allowed to do whatever you want. Just know that at the end of the day, you are still human. You still have your morals and your beliefs and your
Hmm.
rights, and you have to do what
Morals and
you more.
rights.
Yeah, yeah, and you just think of what is best at the end of the day.
Morals and rights, is that separate from belief? Or should belief align with morals and rights? Or does belief become morals and rights? Sorry, is that a big question?
Yes, it's a very big question.
It is quite a big
I'd say
question.
alignment, balance, and no, I mean, I think morals, beliefs, and intuition and all of that, you need to find balance with
Okay,
it.
right. So you say balance with everything.
Yeah,
So there's beliefs and there's
yeah.
morals. So beliefs are, is it objective or subjective? So subjective means it's like based on opinion. Objective means that it's inherent. It's truthful. So, you know, can are beliefs usually based in subjective or objective understandings? You know, if you were to ask the average person, if that question, or what do you think? Like when it comes
I'm
to
gonna ask you
beliefs,
to baby talk that, because that, I mean,
yeah,
that's just very confusing to me. Being honest.
yeah. So is there such a thing as good and bad knowledge, right? Because we're talking about
Yeah.
all these different influences. Is there
Hmm.
such a thing as good and bad knowledge? Something that will
Yes.
affect someone positively, something that will affect them negatively.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I don't expect you to have like the right answer on this, okay? Like, and quote unquote right answer.
Right.
But
Sorry. Hmm.
what helps people think is the question here. What helps people think? Is it knowledge that's going to constrict their mind and actually not help them think, or knowledge that will actually open their mind and help them think for
Knowledge
more
that will
knowledge?
free them.
Okay. Interesting.
Knowledge that will empower them. Knowledge that will
Now, are we
show
getting
them the way.
stuck? Are we getting stuck on one way of thinking by doing that?
No, I say you have to have an open mind. That's my
Okay.
favorite word of the day. Um,
So, finding the right knowledge but having an open mind. So, is there an end to that? Is there an end? I know this may seem complicated.
yes, it's very
and I don't
complicated.
and that's fine. So, the point is here, right, is to question, our sources of information and what we limit our brains on, right?
Hmm.
Like, is it money? Is it politics? Is it religion? All these
What we're
things are
what we're
these are
limiting
influences.
our mind to.
Well, we have to view the world through a filter, right? Depending on
Rose-colored glasses.
well, because everybody has different beliefs and so forth, right? So
Yeah.
the world is filtered perhaps through their lens, may you say? So though that filter will be influenced by what they let, perhaps what they let influence their decisions. So that could include influences, which could be money,
I
music,
just
the things you
Yeah.
mentioned.
And I sound like a broken record, but I think we're just a very manipulative species, and whatever we are given.
Manipulative. So
Is manipulate the right word? I don't want it to sound
no,
that mean.
no, that's fine. So does that mean we are inherently like manipulative? Like we're constantly seeking others for our own good, egoic. Like using others for our own gain. We don't think about others.
Like clout? No, not everyone. No,
Right. Okay, so not everyone.
no,
So we have like dynamics then, right? So there's certain
yeah,
people who are influenced by certain things, other people are influenced by certain things. There's nothing we could put under one big banner, right?
right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right, so I'm sort of like helping you question things here, right? Do you
It's
see?
hard because you and I, we live in the same household. We have these conversations all the time. So like you question me, I'm like, yeah, because you and I have the same idea. I'm trying to portray it in my own words. You know what I mean? Which is a little harder, but
Well, I just want you to be yourself. Speak
no, it's,
upon what you.
I normally never. I This is my first time ever really getting questioned on these type of things. I
Yeah.
mean, I normally have calming conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So questions really in depthly is that a word? Very in depth into this is interesting. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm opening my mind and I'm dusting off the cobwebs. So,
Yeah.
um,
So that's okay. You can admit, like, you might be a bit confused about, like,
yes.
good and bad knowledge. If there is, and, like, how do we discern between the two? Do you think there could be a way that we can do that? And that maybe we just don't know because people weren't taught?
Yeah. I feel like there's always room for improvement. You learn from your mistakes. There's always room to grow. Did everybody say that? There's always room to grow.
Okay. And
And
could we base it off of, like, what is, like, because you said morals and rights, and then you threw in beliefs, right? So there's got to be some sort of distinctions between them, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, because it's one to just believe, but if it's not based in truth, does it matter?
Oh, that's a good question. Who hired you? Um, ooh, if okay, yeah, yes. What's your opinion?
Well, like I said, I mean, if it's knowledge, right, and you're always talking about opening people's minds, I'm
Yeah.
just like using your words here because I, can see the value in it. I understand that as a fellow human being, we have the ability to have open minds to one another. We don't have to close our minds. So, um, I think you're muted, by the way, but or maybe not. Try talking.
Hello?
Okay, cool. But there can be perhaps some understandings of what our rights are and what those morals may be, right? So, and that would help us think, as opposed to the things that might limit us from what helps us think. So the very idea of like good and bad knowledge or positive and negative knowledge, something that helps open our mind more as opposed to something that doesn't, right? Something that helps us know, something that helps teach us,
Help
as
it, but
opposed to just telling someone what to do.
something that thrives you, something that benefits you, helps you empower your inner uh,
Hmm.
being.
Right. Okay. So, and we'll get more into knowledge as we move on. So I think the next topic would be, what's the importance in using knowledge that we learn?
What's the importance of the knowledge that we learn?
Yeah. Like, what's the point of that? Like, because this whole conversation, right, is based around knowledge.
Right.
So
And I,
if we can't make this distinction between good and bad, and we are going to as we move on, perhaps as we get more of a rooted understanding of, where belief relates to truth, what's the importance in using knowledge that we learn? So knowledge as a whole, all of this stuff. What's the
the
importance?
to educate others, to enlighten them,
Okay.
to
Like, what do you get from this? What do you think?
um I get a new perspective. I get to listen to what my gut is telling me, really dig deep into what I believe in, showcase what I have been taught over learning from the truths and lies and deceptions.
What do we do with knowledge?
We use it
For
and
what?
we create for creation, for um I guess, I mean, yeah, education and creation.
Creation. So, what we bring into the world is based on our knowledge. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe it's like a requirement then, right? So our actions, our creations, are dependent on the knowledge or what we learn from.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a
Yes.
requirement.
I don't like the word requirement
Okay. That's fine.
because there's a lot of requirements in today's world, and I don't
Okay.
like it.
Okay.
We have the free will to do, you know what I mean? But also, I don't know. I think requirement just has restriction behind it, and I don't
But there
like.
are requirements when it comes to like healing the body, right? Like there
Of
are
course,
certain things we have to do.
it depends on what. So I think it all depends, right? I think it's all,
Okay.
yeah.
Right. So where do we draw that line is the question. Now that's it's okay if you don't know or unable to word it right now, but you know what are those requirements? I mean, if you don't like the word requirements, what else could I use, right? But we need to know
Oh,
what
you
to
meant like
do.
oh, okay.
Like we need to know what to do. If we're healing somebody, we need to know how to heal them, right? If
Okay,
we don't
that's what you meant by
know,
requirements. Okay, I'm sorry. I misheard everything.
what were you thinking?
I thought you were just talking about what are the requirements under knowledge? Like what's the require like in my head I just saw something else.
Okay. Well, that too,
Um,
right?
so what was the original question? Because I really want to make sure that like I
Yeah,
want to
so
put that
what's
forth.
the importance in using knowledge that we learn, right? What do we do with that? And we kind of came to the conclusion it was like for our actions, right?
Our actions and educating people, enlightening people.
Okay. So using knowledge to then bring the knowledge to others,
Do
like a chain
taking. Oh my
effect?
God! Wait, I had it. I had it. Hold on. It was to bring the good in people, to bring
Okay.
out the good in people, to bring out the good in life, bring out the good in the universe. If you're
Hmm.
using your knowledge in the right way, but if you're using the
Oh.
knowledge for evil,
So
and
now we're going back to morals then, right? Because we're discerning good from bad.
yes,
Okay. So now we're that you see how now we can kind of connect that to good and bad knowledge
yeah,
in a way? Okay.
hmm
So because there's going to be things that might affect people positively or negatively, but do we have to make those standards clear, right? Like what is going to affect someone negatively and positively? It's going to be different across different people, right? It seems like it. It seems like everybody's going to perceive it differently, the
yeah,
way, yeah, good and bad is. Yeah. Do you think
absolutely.
perhaps it's just the lack of knowledge in some that they can't see the bad that in
Oh
something?
yeah, and that kind of brings in that filter that you were talking about.
Hmm. So in a way, like religion, for example, or money can be in the way of someone achieving the truth or knowledge of their situation, good or bad.
Yeah, I think there's limitations that could
Okay.
possibly, yeah,
Right. So
yeah,
those things are objective that we can understand if we have the knowledge to, if we seek to learn it. If we seek with an open mind and then learn,
yeah. But I mean, knowledge is free. Knowledge is power if you use it the right way. But
it's free, but there are requirements for that knowledge, right?
right, uh, yeah, requirements. Hold on, wait, Re- requirements for knowledge. Wait, like, what do you mean by that?
So you said some people are going to have an open mind, and that's what the world needs more of, right?
Yeah,
By having an open mind, what are you able to do with it?
have more perspectives and not just a one-sided way of thinking.
How do you relate that to knowledge? So having an open mind and knowledge, how do they relate? What does
Is there
having
like is there an actual answer to this that you are trying to get out of
Well,
me?
yeah, just an understanding between us, right? So by having an open mind, does it make it easier for me to grasp the knowledge at hand?
I think so because like I said, when I find people that understand the same ideologies, same belief system that I do, it's very easy to talk to them. Where if you talk to someone who doesn't have the same belief system, there's like that barrier, there's that back and forth, there's that
Mm-hmm.
some type of tension between the two beings talking, right? So,
Well, because we looked at the teachability, right? The bell curve, that the
yes.
diagram that I showed. So
Yep.
that is something we can objectively see as all human beings, right? Like we can
Yep.
understand it. On the other one side, it's arrogance. The other side, it's naive. It's being too close-minded or open-minded. We can all understand it. So
Well,
when
because
you
I think at the end
say,
of the day, a
yeah,
teacher is teaching someone, but also that teacher can be a student can be a teacher, and vice versa. Like,
mm-hmm,
I'm educating
right,
someone, they're listening as a student, but also that student can also go out and be an educator, like you are, and educate. And so I think it's a domino effect, a ripple effect, a positive,
right. Like you're
very,
teaching me now by also sharing your views on everything, because then it
yeah,
allows me to know how do I respond, and then just that within itself is a learning ability, right? May you
yes,
say? Okay,
yes,
so like going to requirements, right? So then there was requirements. You said I believe though. Like you said, I believe, yeah, that certain people need requirements, but there are requirements. So that's truthful. That there are requirements for attaining knowledge. You can't attain knowledge if you have a closed mind, right? You need to have some level
yeah,
of an open mind to attain it. So that's
right,
objective.
yeah. But also, I mean, are we saying to like not? and I know we talked about this before, but don't like always just jump on the bandwagon and agree to everything, right?
Right. So that's not being too open-minded, right? Naive.
That's where common sense and where the human eye comes in,
So you think
right?
common sense comes in when there's a balance between open-mindedness and closed-mindedness? Is that the act of knowing right from wrong, or the act of um, knowing, you know, what information to be open to, and what information that we use for our actions, perhaps, right? Like, how would you describe common sense in that regards?
I guess it all, at the end of the day, it's common sense is what your beliefs? Question mark.
Okay.
Right? I don't know. I
So
don't
see,
know.
it's very
I
interesting. You take a lot of objective views, right? Like on common sense, and then when I ask you about it, you start going back to belief.
Yeah, because I think everything's connected, but everything's also contradicted, but also everything is just like very together.
Hmm.
I don't know how to put it in words. Like it's hard for me to put all this in words because I don't know. I'm struggling.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine. So then let's go to like the first question I asked you, right, when we first started, because we're going to wrap up soon for this first episode.
Oh, okay.
Are there requirements for what we desire in our world? So, right, you desire a better world, I'd assume, like most people, right? Most people generally want a better world. Okay,
But
so are there requirements and, for your better world, or the world that you're envisioning?
requirements for the better world that I'm envisioning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but requirements are also can be restrictions, right? Because
Or is it the act of learning? Is it the act of knowing right from wrong?
I think it depends on what your definition of requirements is.
Okay.
Whether right? Because like requirements can be like requirements of a better world, which means like no one kill each other, no one do this, no one, da 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 da, all the bad things. But also the other requirements are like make sure that you do your laundry, take a shower. You know what I mean? Like stupid things like that. But like I think it really depends on what that requirement is defined by as.
So, what is your desire for the better world? Like, what is it generally? Like, let's
I don't want
just
to
come up with.
well, I I don't want to like I don't like imagining my perfect world because the world that we live in is beautiful and it's perfect the way it is because
Why
it
do you
was there
think
for a reason.
you think your world is just not realistic? It's not able to be attained. It's impossible.
My world inside my house with my family is a beautiful thing. Outside, if we weren't connected to the internet and the news and social media, we would think that the world was fine, right? Until you go outside and see other people. You know what I mean? Like I think it's kind of like our life, Cory, is beautiful. I mean, you can say that
So,
we live in a very blessed family. But go ahead.
well, wouldn't that then be a requirement, right? You saying, okay, well, if you get rid of the news, get rid of these certain aspects, just for a picture, just for envisioning it, the world would be better in certain aspects. So those are requirements, right? That
Yeah.
you are ticking off. Just by you talking, you made requirements, whether you realized it or not.
Yeah.
You
No, you're
mentioned a
right.
list of different things, and
Hmm.
you're like, this is what it needs to get rid of for the world that we desire. So you technically answered the question.
Cool.
Yeah, so are there requirements for what we desire in the world? Then technically you say yes. And I say, for what we desire, I'm not just referring to you though, right? So I'm referring to most people in the world. And what do you think most people in the world desire at the end of the day? Do you think there's something, a basic human desire?
Can I take it from my favorite quote from my favorite
Sure.
movie, Miss Congeniality? World peace.
Okay, that's a good one.
I mean,
Right.
I'm so literally you're the producers behind the scene. Like, all right,
So let's look at that
that's
one,
it.
right? Let's use that
Yeah,
as our case example. It's like, right,
yeah.
like you ever
Well, it
go into
is.
math
I mean,
tests and problem solving?
everyone wants. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, like let's say this is a math equation, right? World peace, right? This is the section world peace problem solving question. What are the requirements for world peace? We need to fill in the
Oh,
equations.
yes, of course. Um, love, happiness. Uh, I feel like this word, oh my God, this word is very touchy. Equality,
Hmm.
but yes, um, grounding,
And many
high
people
vibration.
feel like that's unrealistic, right? Or they feel like
Yeah,
it's unattainable.
yeah, yeah.
But maybe it
Seeing,
can if we have the
seeing,
knowledge.
right, and seeing no color, seeing no, don't like judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? I guess like that too. And go
So
into that.
if we had knowledge of the requirements, then we can fulfill and make that better world for ourselves.
I would say so.
Okay. Great. So, I mean, that kind
Yeah.
of concludes that part of the section. So, I appreciate it. Do you see where I was like trying to connect the dots there? It's like
Yeah.
we learn, and our learning depends on our open mindedness, our closed mindedness, and we'll get more into that too, because everything, like you said, is connected. But then we learn the requirements. So even just the requirements for learning itself, right? It requires that we have an open and that we don't have too much of an open mind and too much of a closed mind. So there's requirements there. There's
Okay.
requirements for me to stand. I need my leg to work. I need and requirements for me to speak. I need my brain to work.
So what you're saying is the requirements for knowledge is to have an open and closed mind. Is that what you just said?
Well, how do we attain information in the first place? We can't. If I'm closed-minded to information, I'm not gonna perceive it at all. If I'm too open-minded to that information, I'm just gonna accept it all and not think for myself.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay. Yes.
So me saying too many things about open-mindedness was kind of just like, oh, free for all.
Well, do you
Kind of.
notice you were kind of lost in your own words yourself?
Yep. All the time.
So perhaps then there needs to be a line where we do draw, and we need to find that line,
And
right?
that's where the closed-mindedness comes in. Is that
But that's where we get more grounded, as you said, right? As to
okay?
knowing perhaps what our morals are, what our rights are,
Yeah.
as opposed to our beliefs, and if we can perhaps align the two,
Okay.
right?
No, you're
So,
right.
is this something good that you want to keep working on toward the next
Yes.
show episodes?
Yes. Keep digging into my brain. I think it's interesting because, like, literally, I mean, no one but you, Cory, really. Or, I mean, there are a few people that we are like. I mean, you're more affiliated with more open-minded. Oh man, I feel like I'm now saying this word without the requirements now. Well, no, people of the same movement, people who
Mm,
are awoken. You are more affiliated with them than I am, and so people on the daily don't always ask me these questions, and so
yeah,
this was brand new. Not I don't want to say brand new to me because
it's the
I
point
have
of the
been
show.
introduced to this by Cory a long time ago, but it's been lingering, of course, because we incorporate it into our everyday lives of just um, always being,
Questioning.
true to yourself, questioning everything, true to yourself, true to nature, and all that. But um,
Oh,
the
see, like you mentioned right
balance.
there, right? So, questioning, so being open minded, but then staying true to nature. So, that's the closed minded element, right? So, being determined on something, and on the other
Yes,
hand, still being free
yes,
in the mind.
yes.
Okay, so we're going to explore these ideas more. So thank you everyone for sticking around with this. This is Cory Endrulat. You can see all these episodes on nita.one/learn and One Great Work Network. So you can see many folks who teach this knowledge in many different ways. But here in these episodes, we're going to go one by one through all these different details in detail, and hopefully you may learn something for yourself as well. So you can share that with others. That's what this show is about. You are the question, Crystal. A lot of questions, right? But you are the question. Do you feel like you are being questioned right now? That your life is in question? That your actions is what helps determine the world? Which is that question? Because it depends on your actions?
There's a question inception, baby. Like,
Yes.
wow, yeah, it's a lot. It can be very overwhelming, but if you take it slow and you just don't overthink it, but just allow your heart and allow yourself to express it and express what you believe in, you will be okay at the end of the day. Guys, I
Do you,
survived.
do you think
If I could do it, you could do it.
do you think we did that here today? Do you think we accomplished that?
I think we accomplished a lot and we learned a lot,
Okay.
and I'm glad that you decided to have me, because I think it's very interesting, because I don't know, I think a brother and sister interviewing each other, I think that's cool. I like it. But also I want to be more educated on the topic of
Oh yeah.
natural law and all that. I really do. Because when people ask me what natural law is, what does your brother do? I give them the basic answer. I want to give them more of an in-depth, very clear understanding
Well,
of
now
it.
you can also show them how you learned yourself, and we'll all learn together in this journey of life. So I
Exactly.
appreciate everyone here. I appreciate you, Crystal, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
guys. Thank you.
Peace out.